So it's been 5 years since Steve McQueen directed the Oscar-winning 12 Years a Slave, but he's finally back with the new film Widows, based on the British television series from the early 80s of the same name. In the film, Viola Davis plays Veronica Rawlings, who is grieving the loss of her husband Harry, a career criminal played by Liam Neeson, who was killed in a police standoff along with the rest of his crew during their latest heist. Making matters worse, Veronica is now at the mercy of local gangster-turned-politician, played by Brian Tyree Henry, who is looking to Veronica to pay back the $2 million that Harry stole from him during his last job. With few options, but information that Harry left her regarding his past and future jobs, Veronica sets out to connect with the wives of the other members in Harry's crew to pull off one last heist. What I love about Widows is that, in addition to being just a very slick heist thriller type film, it's also an involving character drama. There's a lot going on with each of these characters. There's a lot of complexity that goes into a lot of them, and this is all tied together with Viola Davis's performance as Veronica, because everything is kind of focused on her in the very beginning and throughout the film, and she's just doing an amazing job of selling all of these layered emotions. She's going through grief and pain and anger and fear, and she's using all of this to her advantage because she realizes that she has a plan on how to make things right, and she just needs to have as much confidence in herself as possible, and sometimes that feels a little more like a facade because she knows she's afraid. She knows how bad this can go, and you get all of that as you're watching the film play out. But this isn't to say that Viola Davis has to carry this film, because just about everyone else in it is bringing their A game. I loved Brian Tyree Henry as Jamal Manning. I loved Daniel Kaluuya as his brother, who was just absolutely menacing, and there are just so many scenes that show this off, especially in one scene where he's interrogating a paraplegic in a bowling alley, and just the way that scene is shot is just incredible, because you see how much his character loves doing what he does, and that just happens to be causing pain. But on the other side of it, you've got Colin Farrell as Jack Mulligan, who is Jamal's opponent for alderman in a particular district of Chicago. And you see the conflict with Mulligan, and especially when you have his father, played by Robert Duvall, who just wants to convince his son that they need to maintain power in this predominantly black populated district of Chicago, which their family has lorded over for generations, and there's all sorts of implications to that. On the side of the actual widows, you have Elizabeth Debicki playing just an amazingly complicated character, because there's so much going on with her, because there's so many factors that play into her being controlled at the beginning, that she really has to kind of flip the script and make her life her own. And I feel like of all the supporting characters in the film, she's probably the most evolved. But you also have Michelle Rodriguez and Cynthia Erivo, and Cynthia Erivo especially, because I thought she was great in Bad Times at the El Royale, and she's pitch perfect here. She's a perfect character to kind of stand toe-to-toe with Viola Davis, especially when their characters are first introduced. And it's just amazing to see how the chemistry develops between these women, because everything rests on Viola Davis's character being able to plan everything out and get information from people and make sure that all of these other women know that she's not playing around. And it's just amazing to watch, and it's a bit of a slow burn. It kind of takes a while to get to where it's going, but once it does, it's just absolutely thrilling, and I just had a lot of fun with this film. I thought it was just amazingly shot, the dialogue is great, and I feel like this definitely feels reminiscent of Set It Off from the mid 90s, but it's just a testament to Steve McQueen as a filmmaker, and Gillian Flynn, who was responsible for Gone Girl, was one of the co-screenwriters on this, and I feel like they did a fantastic job with it, and I guarantee you, like, you will not be disappointed if you go see Widows, and I'm definitely recommending it for anyone who likes heist films, anyone who's a fan of Viola Davis, and how could you not be, quite honestly. And on top of all that, we also get new Sade music on the soundtrack. As far as I'm concerned, that's a win-win.